Okay, it's on its way.
Okay, we're live then. Hey, everybody, welcome to It's All Good with Amy Good and the
Doc
good
Bishop.
Dr. Doc Bishop. Doc, do you want to go ahead and introduce our guest tonight?
Absolutely. Tonight we have Bob Dixon on the show with us. Bob Dixon is a personal friend of mine and also the creator of the Snafu Fubar series. It's a wonderful book series that I'm going to let Bob just explain a little bit better because I probably won't do it justice. But Bob, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hey guys, welcome. Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it. Like I said, Doc and I do go back a few years. I think. Say that's how
It's been years, at
yeah.
least 10.
Snafu Fubar was a brainchild of mine that should never came to birth. It was a character I created about 30 years ago as a comic book character, and the comic book the market kind of crashed on us, and it kind of got shelved. And one day I was sitting around trying to figure out what to write next on my books, and I said, I wonder what would happen if I just wrote an adult humor book. Because I was writing young adult, and I was like, I was watching the language on the books. I was like, if I just cut loose, because my humor's out there. And so I started writing with Snafu, which the idea was two drunk superheroes with absolutely no superpowers whatsoever. And the idea of going on patrol was sitting on the front porch, smoking cigars, drinking beer, and bullshitting with each other. And the next thing I know, I have three books out. It became my best-selling book. I'm working on book 4 of the trilogy right now. And Doc has all 3 books. The last one, hold up.
That's the newest one, right?
That's book 2.
Okay, so it's going to be this one.
That's book 3 right there. Book 3, Snafu Fubar, Morningwood. The cover, beautiful cover done by Tom Nigerian and Udo Wooten did the colors and layout on it. Udo's one of my best friends. He does all my cover work. I'm very fortunate to have a graphic artist as a best friend. And like I said, we're doing book 4 this year, which will be Rehab Rejects, book 4 of the trilogy.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Okay, now that we have our introductions out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and roll the sponsored ads real quick here, guys. Give me one moment. We got to show some love here. And one more. Alrighty, let me get rid of this guy.
And we're back.
Yeah.
We survived the ads.
Thank you for watching the sponsored ads, everybody. And okay, so I'll let you, Doc, maybe run most of the questions since you and Bob have history together. And then
Absolutely. Well, I figured that it would be good inviting him on the show. First of all, show some love and help promote his newest book.
Yeah.
And also, as a fellow writer between the two of you and a creator as myself, I figured we could actually talk a little bit about writing principles and continue a little bit more of what we were speaking about with Mr. Baron last week.
Yeah, I would love that. Actually, I just got off the phone with him right before jumping on here, and I'm kind of like, I'm going to like kind of cajole and force him into maybe mentoring me on writing. And he mailed me this.
Oh, nice.
So I'm going to shout him out real quick. Look, he signed it and everything.
Oh, that is awesome. I want to get my hands on a Florida Man. I want to read that series now. I'm intrigued. But let's not get too far off a topic. Let's go ahead and backtrack a little bit, Bob. Now your history in the comic book arena and world is actually much larger than what I think most people realize. I know for a fact you happen to be a Guinness World Record holder, and that is something I found very impressive when I first met you. So you want to go ahead and share what your record is possibly and how you obtained it?
Well, I have the world's longest cartoon strip, and that's the best way to do it. No, I got bored. I was my real job. I'm a teacher and a special needs teacher, and I was flipping through. And I had my kids in the library. I was flipping through the Guinness Book of World Records because there was nothing else to do while my kids looked for books. And I saw the world's longest cartoon strip at the time was 175 feet. I'm like, that's beatable. And so I took 3 or 4 months out of my life, and I did a 250-foot comic strip that was 3 feet wide.
Wow.
And so it took a couple months to get certified through Guinness, and then I got thinking about it. I said 250 feet is beatable, so I wanted to do something that wasn't beatable. So I did a second one that was 629 feet long, I think, basically 2 football fields in length.
Oh, there you go. I say, why would you go with 629? But yeah, that makes sense. 2 football fields.
I think it was 629. That's how long it just ended up being. I mean, it was.
You ran out of paper.
Well, it was I won't say 100 panels or something like that, but or 60 panels. But it's about a savage sheep who got human intelligence, and since that was a downgrade, he had to go on a journey to get his sheep intelligence back.
Oh wow!
So
it's kind of barbarian type.
3 feet wide by 2 football fields long.
Yeah.
And you said 60 panels?
Yeah, what I did is I took 2 Lazy Susans and stuck them on top of 3-foot filing cabinets. I took a 4x8 sheet of bathroom paneling and attached it to my wall. And I took it up as I drew it.
Oh my God. That's
it's funny because I've done this writing business now. I'm in my 31st year with the school system. I've been writing for longer than that. So I've been writing for basically 35 years professionally. And what happens with people like me, I'm sure you guys will experience as you get going on stuff, you get bored. And when you get bored, either really good things happen or really bad things happen, or somewhere in between.
Is there an amalgamation of both, you know?
Yeah. Or snafu happens. But the Guinness stuff was kind of cool because it's a fun little thing. You don't make any money for it, but it is kind of cool to say, at one time you knew you were the very best in the world or something.
Yes, I was always fascinated with the Guinness as a child. That was something my parents used to get me like every other year for Christmas, so I could look through the Guinness book and see just all the record holders. I thought that was fascinating. Something worth mentioning.
Yeah, so I have like 2 certificates around the house somewhere. I think they're packed up somewhere. They used to be on my wall. But we moved, and then things get moved on. I used to take them to shows, and that was kind of fun. But it's just a little sense of pride thing. One of the weirder things I ended up in, I was doing a comics now, art walk down Gulfport because I'm down Florida, down Tampa Bay area, and Gulfport's a big art community down here. For those of you not familiar with it, which I assume you're not in Tampa Bay, you're not familiar with it. But anyways, a friend of mine ran an art museum down there, and so I was selling comic books. I'd done really good that night, and so this guy was jogging, and he stopped looking at my table. I said, "You know what? He said, I don't have any money on me." I said, "You know what? Just take a couple books." I wasn't really worried about it because they cost 30 cents to print. I had a good night, and he shows back up like an aisle and wants to buy the rest of the books. I'm like, okay, cool. Because that's one thing a lot of people don't understand. Maybe we'll get into it a little bit on shows. Walking a table. A lot of people don't understand how to walk a table. But anyways, he goes, I run an art event down at the Dolly Museum. Would you like to come down and show your work? So I've actually
the one in downtown St. Pete.
Yeah, the Dolly.
Oh, nice.
So I've actually done, and this was the old Dolly before they redid it. But I've actually done the signing at the Dolly.
Wow.
That's awesome to say.
Yeah, so
you got to do a book signing at the Dolly Museum. That is incredible.
I actually painted a picture for it too.
And they hung it there right next to.
If I'm gonna be there, I'm gonna say I've showed my art at the Dolly.
Hell yeah!
Nice.
So yes, and that's just one of those pompous feathers in the cap that you go, it's kind of cool.
Yep. Add that in there with your accomplishments that you've created.
Yeah. Well, I've been very fortunate in my life that my wife has allowed me to do this garbage on the side, and I say garbage in most loving way, because if you've ever been on comic book circuit as a writer or artist for anything more than a year, you're in and out of hotels, you're at cons, you're traveling all night to get to a show, and at table for 12, 14 hours, and at the end of the weekend, you broke even, and you had a blast. I'm lucky now. I end up making more money than breaking even. But I remember shows where literally we did a show just to pay for gas in a hotel.
Wow.
Yeah, I can absolutely empathize with that.
And like I said, I've been doing this a long time. I've done shows all up and down the East Coast. I mean, I've had a lot of fun doing it, and a lot of people miss out on the fact. Like I love new creators because they're so inspired and so getting into what they're doing, but a lot of them miss the fact that don't miss the fun along the way. Because
you've got to enjoy it's a passion project from start to finish, not just from the creation aspect.
Yeah, I remember I did a signing in Lakeland, and the two of the artists that were there were Bill Tucci and Buzz. And Buzz used to do all the Vampirella covers.
Nice.
Back in the day. And Bill Tucci is a great guy. I bumped into him a few years ago, and we had a good talk. I hadn't talked to him in years, but he's a good guy. I mean, she's a great product,
Why would you say that a lot of people miss the fun along the way?
Because they get too caught up in the idea they got to sell books. And honestly, you go to shows. What I found has been a successful thing. You go to shows for a couple of reasons. Okay, obviously to make money, but the next one is to make connections. Like, good example, the guy I gave the books to at the Gulfport thing was a connection that got me into the Dolly Museum. Right. I went and got. I'm not gonna get there with my talent. That was a connection.
Yeah.
But and the other thing is you got to have fun at this, because I've done this for a long time. If you're not having fun, you're not going to put your heart and soul into it. You're not going to put out a good product. You're not going to enjoy it. And honestly, the fans can tell when you're just sitting behind the table going, fuck, I want this day over.
Mm-hmm.
They can't. And Doc say, I done a show up in Knoxville a couple of years. And each year I went there, my sales got bigger and bigger because I sat down, I talk to people. I treat them just like I want to be treated. And a lot of I say newbies, and I'm not saying all, I'm generous, John, and even some people who've been in business a long time, they act like being on this side of the table is such a big deal. But the people come to see you, it is. But you should be just as hyped to see them.
Right.
I love it when fans come up and go, oh, I want to come just get your book because I knew he's going to be here. That to me is great. Even after 30 years, I still get high on that. That to me is awesome. Right. And when you lose that, and when you stop having fun at this stuff, then maybe you should just do it for yourself. Because
those are wise words.
Because you could be the reason somebody gets into the business. I can tell you right now, when I first started trying to do comics, I went to a show up in Atlanta, and there was a writer there. I won't call him out just out of respect, okay? But he was a well-known writer. If I say his name to anybody, everybody go, okay, I know who you're talking about. And I said, hey, I want to become a writer. What can you tell me? Comic book writer. And he goes, there's nothing I can tell you. Literally just blew me off. And so I went to the Nodale, and Dan and Roy Thomas, which is a husband-wife team, spent about 30 or 45 minutes with me at a con talking to me about ins and outs of the business. And I appreciate it, of course, but I didn't realize how much I appreciate it till later when I had my own company, Pocket Change Comics. And I realized how valuable 30 or 40 minutes talking to one person is. Yeah. And I had the honor of bumping into him years ago after I had my own comic book line out in Charlotte. I just walked over and handed them a whole stack of comic books and reminded them who I was and told them how much I appreciated them.
Wow.
But
that's incredibly able to pay it forward.
I would never be that one guy. I said, I'll never be him.
Yeah. What do you think he meant by I can't tell you anything? Could you speculate, or what do you think his motivation was for saying that?
He's just an asshole.
Oh, okay.
If you're making a living doing writing, even me, okay, at my stage, if you come to me at a show, I will give you all kinds of ways. I got people email me, hey, I want to be a writer. And the first thing I tell them, have you written a book yet? Well, no, that's your first step. Nothing else matters till you write the book. Right. Doc sent me messages on ideas for ways to go with First World, and I told him, I said, I've been out of comics for a while, but here's what I would do. you know.
So he was one of my first consultants for First World as I was putting together the team.
Yeah, and the thing is there's no if you're doing, you know, we're not competition. You know, I've got author friends of mine who were literally will sell stuff off each other's tables.
Right.
We're not competition. The people buying Snafu will go buy Snafu whether your book's out there or not.
Right.
And the people buying a fantasy book is go buy that fantasy book whether Snafu's there or not.
100%. I wish everybody had that mentality.
Well, there's plenty of business out there for all of us.
Yes.
Well, and that's the thing, you know, you look at some of these big publishers, and I go about it, and my numbers may be outdated, but I know when we was doing comics, I mean, I was putting out 5,000 books a month at one time. Okay, we were doing really good.
Wow.
But Marvel and DC at the time did not even print a book unless it sold 40 or 50,000 books. And I used to tell people all the time, because I tell people I trade out ads with them. Well, and some people are like, oh, I don't advertise other companies. I'm like, we're not competition.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you look at what we're selling, Marvel wouldn't even print the book. We're not competition.
Right.
You know, but some people view it that way, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's everywhere. I mean, obviously, my background's more in visual art, but that was an attitude, and it's still an attitude in the visual art world that is extremely proliferated. It's very crabs in a barrel. It's very like, in order for me to succeed, other people have to fail kind of mentality. Yeah, which I just don't jive with that at all.
Yeah,
no,
I've never understood that mentality. I've done this business a long time. I did a show up in Evansville, and I wish they still did the show, Doc, because I'll take you this one. You love it. Tricon. It was great people. They're just wonderful people, and which was part of the reason the show was so fun. But it was me, Sam Rico, Ed. I can't pronounce his last name. I'm not even gonna try. And Shane Moore. We was all kind of in the area together. There's a guy across the way from us, and he would like call people away from our table to try to make a sale. And we're like, dude, that's not cool. You know, wait, because literally we were all, oh, you like fantasy? I don't do fantasy, but Ed does fantasy. Why don't you check out Ed's book? Or, you know, Sam does fantasy. Why don't you check out Sam's book? And we were doing that kind of stuff. And, you know, like I said, it's just table etiquette and ways to work a table that makes things more successful.
That's something you had mentioned earlier, is the working of the table. You want to go into that for a little bit, and with your years of experience going to the different Comic-Cons and events and selling your book at the table, which is most of what the viewers are going to be experiencing if they haven't already experienced it. Would you let us know how it is you work the table and get the best reaction?
Well, my way is just kind of, you know, hey, I'm Bob Dixon. You know, here's my books. You send me. Catch your eye, feel free to look through it. If you have any questions, let me know. You know, if I see something funny or whatever, I may joke. I do a lot of joking around the table. That doesn't work for everybody. As far as, because that's not your personality. You just be yourself, but you have to put yourself out there. You never tell people I want you to buy my book. You say I want you to read my book. It's a huge difference. It has the same effect. Because when people say buy, they think automatically, oh, how much is it going to cost me? I want you to read my book means I want you to do something I think might bring you joy. Every now and then you go see that customer, you feel like, you know what, I'm going to give them a free copy. And you just go eat the price on it. And it's going to be, you know, it may be a kid that, you know, has $4 and the book costs $10. You're like, you know what, you know, obviously I don't sell snafu to kids, but you go, you know what, let me give you a discount. You know what I mean? So it's stuff like that. It's making connections with people. It's talking to them. I always tell people to add me on Facebook. I don't really tell them to follow my Facebook page, because if you're on my Facebook, my personal Facebook, you're going to see a lot more of who I am and what I am. Whereas my author page is going to be strictly my writing stuff. And I want people to know me. I mean, when I go to show, they want to say, oh, you know, how's your grandkids? You know, oh, I saw you was in Knoxville. I saw you had dinner with Doc and Aaron, you know. And that's why, you know, that's just kind of the way I do things. I mean, I think you got to be very personable behind the table. I know I did a...
So it's a very soft sale is your approach when you're running a table.
I really think so. I mean, because I think the hard sales people, there's only so much money they go spend. And honestly, if it's independence, they're taking chances on you anyways. I think having, like Snafu, I think having 3 or 4 books out helps that, because they go, wait a minute, this has been around. It's going to be around. I think that helps.
Oh, we may have lost Bob.
Let's give him a second to come back. Hey, meantime, let's see where our video is in here. So we can play that. Uh-oh.
I think I lost connection there for a minute.
Oh, you're back.
Yeah, everything went blank. What's the last thing you heard?
We were talking about the personal connection at the table and the
you're gonna have to get the cost
being
on that.
yourself.
Yeah.
And like I said, a lot of it's just, you know, you like I did a Comic-Con last year at Clearwater, and I was on a panel. It was 5 of us, and it was talking questions. And one guy was really good at it because he had been he had drawn Buffy and all that stuff, so he'd been in business for a while. But the other 3 acted real nervous, in my opinion. Not disrespect them, but they seemed kind of nervous on the panel. And like one guy, every question led back to his book series, and a lot of mine did, because you know I'm up there. And like I tell people, I say you're not going to lose sales on a panel, but you can make them. And I actually had a couple people come up after me and say, you know, we really enjoyed you on the panel. You know, I had 5 or 6 sales right after the panel. But you be yourself, you have fun with it. Like I said, and a lot of people, it goes back to, like I said, though, it's having fun what you're doing. And a lot of people just skip that part of it. They think, you know, they're nervous about being there. The worst thing can happen, the absolute worst thing can happen is you go there and not sell any books. Oh, wow. Guess what? Yeah, a couple $100 for the table or whatever it is. Deal with it.
But you get the exposure, and half of the creation process is putting yourself in the book. So when you are selling yourself, not just your product, you'll get a much better reaction on the table, is what I hear you're saying, right?
Yeah, and it also goes back to the connections. You know, you don't know how many people go home and order your product that just didn't have cash on them. So
yeah,
if you make
or start following you on the social media channels and pick up a product later once they have a different opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I got one of my fans up in Chicago. Lily, I put a new book out. She orders 3 copies, one for her, one for her son, and one for her daughter, because she won't let her son and daughter have her copies anymore, because he dog ears. And now the last copy of Snafu 3, I actually went through and drew dog ear marks and put notes in there for him about where the dog ear. And she said he just loved it.
Would you like to maybe talk about some of your philosophies or tips on writing or whatever, you know, however you'd like to quantify it or categorize it? I'd love to hear that personally.
Well, I think Ernest Hemingway said it best: "Write drunk and hit it sober." My writing process is probably not like a lot of people's, which I don't know if that's good or bad. I actually started taking up writing on my cell phone during the pandemic, and I actually write novels on my cell phone. So I don't suggest that to anybody.
That's gotta be rough.
Well, you know what? It's just I sit down to write a note, and next thing I know, I had a chapter done.
Wow.
But I've got like 20 or 30 pages of Snafu notes on my phone. But no, I think the process is different for everybody. I have a friend of mine who runs a local theater company I had called Lab Theaters, and actually I just did a signing with his. They had a fundraiser, and it's weird. I did really good. I had a 30-minute sale window, because from time door to the time curtains dropped for the play, so I had like a 30-minute sale window. I actually did really good, but again, it's going back to just talking to people and being friendly and the right atmosphere there. But anyways, my writing process is, you know, I just get a lingo of a thought, and then I just kind of see if it's expandable. A lot like Snafu was just weird, because I always joke that Snafu writes itself, because I watch the news, I just see something really stupid, I'm like, oh yeah, I can ad-lib on this. I was going through Georgia, and I saw a sign that says used cows for sale. What did you use them for? The other one was a medical building that says baby shots $5. I'm like, why are you shooting the babies?
Right.
What did they ever do to you?
Yeah, and so, and like I said, in Snafu, I mean, I admit Snafu is just a very warped little book, which I love doing. But I mean, it's definitely not for everybody. But from my writing process on that is honestly just paying attention. I think a lot of people get caught up in I'm gonna say the myth of writer's block. I do say myth. And I know a lot of writers are getting pissed right now when I say that. But here's the thing. Everything you write is not going to be good. You're going to write some really bad shit if you're a true writer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe in writer's block for this simple reason. Everything's not going to be good. If you try and figure out where to go next to a story, either you've written it into a corner which you should never went to, and you try to make a jump which is not makeable. As a writer, you send to yourself, I don't have a way to sell this, so I'm stuck. Mm-hmm. If that's the case, go back to where you was writing good at and take a different path.
I love that.
You know, and the other thing is, if you're truly having trouble coming up with something, go to a park, go to a mall, go to a strip club, whatever makes you happy, and write what you see.
Yeah. That'll at least go ahead and start with a background with a filler and let the imagination start to go, so your story can flesh itself out and your characters can further develop themselves.
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing this for 35 years. I've never not had an idea. So I don't.
How do you feel about writing outlines before writing?
Never done it.
Okay.
I don't think I should know where the story's going. I mean, my readers don't know where it's going. Why should I?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, and I know people.
Well, how do you get there if you don't know the path?
Just get there.
Stumble along the way, and that's the entertainment of the writing.
Have you ever taken a road trip?
Oh yes, I've many times.
Okay. I'm talking about, but not know where you're going.
No.
Just get in the car and go, and wherever you end up is where you end up at.
No, I don't think I've ever actually tried that.
Okay, well, man up and do it. But that's the way you write. You write like you're on a road trip where you just know you're going to go someplace epic. And as you start going, you're going to start seeing things you want to add and where you want to go. And, I say that. There'll be sometimes where I know the exact ending of a story, but I don't know the beginning.
Oh.
Wow.
But
that's interesting, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, why do we just keep repeating each other? No, that's interesting. I've never heard that. I've heard the converse like, a million times, but know the ending, but not know the beginning. Huh. Okay. Interesting.
But it's all part of just concepts and how do you want to work. This past year, I finished a book I've been working on for 12 years. It was a historical fiction. It took a lot of research, and I knew the final line of the book the whole time. I knew the final scene, but I had to get there. And I kind of knew how I wanted to get there. I kind of pieced it together because it was historical fiction, so I had to play that. I did kind of have to outline a little bit, only because of the context of the book. When I'm writing just strictly for my own amusement and my own imagination, I really don't plan too much out. And I'm probably a poor example for anybody who wants to follow me as far as this is how you should write a book. I will say this, though. If you're considering writing a book, comic book, novel, whatever, don't worry about what's selling right now. Don't worry about what may sell in the future. I was talking to Jimmy Palmata. I'm sure I just butchered his name, but with that Comic-Con a few years ago, I was talking about how Snafu had taken off on me. And he said a very beautiful thing. He says, you don't get to decide what the fans like.
Right.
But write what you enjoy. Write a story that you're just in love with, because at the end of the day, it's going to show. And two, it may, like Snafu is a niche, but there's nothing else out there like it. And that's why people are liking it.
I like that. So kind of the idea of like, write what you're passionate about, something you're in love with, put your best into it.
I think they made a movie like that, if you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
Right.
If you write it, you will find an audience for it. Absolutely. And your style of writing actually reminds me a lot of talking with Lisa. And when she's writing, she says that she just sits down and the characters start to bicker in her head and she just writes down what they tell them to.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I forgot Lisa writes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So that's not an unusual writing style. It's something that I've heard on more than one occasion. I just don't think that my small little brain would actually try to capture it. I would always miss something. I would think I have to do kind of an outline. I would feel, or hire a good writer and go on from there. If you don't mind, Bob, do you want to go ahead and tell us a little bit about that new book that you're finishing up? You've been working on for 12 years. Do you have a title for it yet?
Yeah, The Destiny Spear.
Ooh.
Is it about the Spear of Destiny? I'm assuming.
Yes. And the premise of it is the idea that it deals with a Roman soldier stabbed Christ in the side with the spear, and I just chronicle him throughout. And basically, what I've done is I make it where the spear guides into people that he has to judge or heal. And
interesting.
And being judged by the spear leaves people face to face with their own sins with a conscience. And you can place him throughout history. Jim Jones killed himself. Hitler killed himself. Jack the Ripper just stopped killing.
Oh,
interesting.
Yeah, that is very interesting. I've never heard of anything like that before. That's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, so it took me a while now. And the way I do it is I do it a combination of first person and narrative. With the main character, you don't know if he's insane because he's holding a psychiatrist at gunpoint as he's telling the story.
So you use kind of you said first person perspective, but then also kind of like an omniscient point of view.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, intertwined. Good.
Yeah.
Cool.
I really didn't know if it would work or not, but I actually think it worked out quite nicely.
When are you
releasing? I can't wait to read that one.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I'm hoping to get some more stuff released this year and next couple of years. I got some things working on. I probably have got 10 or 12 books sitting on the shelf right now. Waiting to be edited.
Well, yeah, I can only imagine knowing you the way that I do, but you're working on Snafu 4, you're working on the Spear of Destiny book. Yeah, you've got to have your hands full, especially still going to work every day dealing with the children.
Amy looks stunned.
Yeah, that is overwhelming. Oh my God.
I put my hands on. So I come up with ideas. Some I work on. Some I think are better than others. And if I don't think it's got legs, I don't easily put too much effort into it. I got some things I like to get out though. I'm working. I did a book one of a series. It's going to be like a dysfunctional superhero thing that I like. So I got to play that out a little more because I got the first book done, but I'd like to get 2 or 3 more on that one.
You mean, and then kind of release them all together?
Yeah, I kind of like to have like more than one book done at one time. Like I got a 2-book series with a dysfunctional genie and a dead detective.
Yeah, I kind of hear mixed things about that, because people want to get their books out, but then the readers are like, wait, what the fuck? There's like a 2nd or 3rd book coming out. I have to wait for it. You know what I mean? So there is kind of a...
Snafu was never meant to be more than one because I didn't think anybody would be stupid enough to buy it, but here we are. And I say that with all love to my customers who love Snafu because they all know I always tell people it was done kind of as a joke and it hit off. And I'm very happy with it. I'm glad people enjoy it. I'm glad it makes them laugh. I like I said, I kind of think it's funny because you do something kind of off the cuff and you really don't expect much out of it. I kind of figure like me and 3 friends would buy it and that'd be about it. And it's done good on sales and people like it. I see Bill's online. What's up, Bill? Udo Wooden is my cover guy and my graphic artist buddy. He does all my layouts for me.
And shout out.
Yeah, what's up?
He's best man at my wedding too.
Oh, okay, that is cool. I don't know if Doc, you probably have like way better questions than me. This is like total snooze fest 5,000 question I have here, but I'm interested in your opinions on like the editing process.
I don't believe in it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna let Bob take this one because I've asked him this question before.
Okay. I see. Amy, my wife keeps convincing me there's things called commas and punctuation and proper spelling, and I find that just gets in the way of telling a great story because you can hide editor. Now I say that my wife is my co-writer, And what she does is, after I put this jambalaya together, is she goes through and she cleans it up and rewrites some sections of it so it actually reads like I want it to read, opposed to what I have down there. And which is why she's the co-writer, because she does a lot on the back end to make the book presentable. I was never a good. It's me being a teacher is gonna be funny saying this. I was never a good student. I sucked in all subjects. I don't know why I went to high school besides I was told to. So I'm not good at editing. That being said, just because you're not good at editing, don't allow that to stop you writing a book. Because if I can do it, well, let's face it, anybody can. If you got the story, write the story. You can pay to have it cleaned up. You can hire an editor.
Okay, sound advice. Fair enough.
I mean, it's just
absolutely, yeah.
There's so many people go, oh, well, I don't know how to edit. It's like, yeah, me either. So here we are.
Well, Amy's tried to interpret my writing. I write like a third grader, so I absolutely understand where you're coming from.
So your writing's improved.
Nice.
She's like,
I've sent some rough copies over to Bob.
When you're taking someone else's writing, it's that delicate balance of trying to keep their voice, but still try to make it a good voice. Because, my wife says, she goes, you're one of the best storytellers I've ever met, but your writing sucks. As far as the
imagination is there. You just have to go ahead and get it in a cohesive track.
And the thing is, I joke about it at shows and all. I joke about it on podcasts, and a lot of people go, "Oh, I would never say I'm not good at it. I just leave that alone." It's like, no, be honest about who you are. If you're not good at a certain aspect of it, because there's somebody out there not writing a book right now that may be watching this podcast that's not writing a book because they're not good with spelling. They're not good with punctuation. My God, it's the best $60 a year in Grammarly.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can go ahead and find the different freelancers and build a team. Like myself as a creator, I've created a comic book series, First World. Now I get to plug it. But I have zero artistic capabilities. I can't draw a straight line with a ruler, and I write like a third grader.
Yeah.
But we've brought on a wonderful team to help me put together my vision.
Oh.
Yeah. But the average, but bear in mind, what's the average grade level reading of most comic book people?
Oh.
That's
a good point.
Nowadays, yeah, that's an incredible point. Yeah. Go ahead and fill up the Indiegogo if you can.
Insulting anyway, okay? That's not meant as insult for anybody that thinking, oh, he's being arrogant. No, it's just, I know years ago it was like a 6th grade reading level.
Right.
8th grade reading level. So you're not talking about a college level thing that needs to be out there.
Mm-hmm.
The newspaper. What's the newspaper? The reading grade level on a newspaper? I think it's 8th grade.
I was going to say,
true.
Most things are most things that are consumed on a massive scale are. So I heard a long time ago that like most songs literally ever written are at like a 3rd grade reading level or lower, which of course is very different, but still at the same time.
But it's still entertainment. And that's the thing. You're dealing with a lot of intelligent people, but a lot of them may not be well educated.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that also makes it more accessible.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with being accessible.
Broadening your market.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know what my writing level will be at, because honestly, like I said, you go through my writing, the rough draft of my writing, and Udo, who's just on a minute ago, he reads everything I write. He'll tell you, it's like, oh, wow, didn't know what punctuation was at all, huh? Okay, wow, look at this key thing. But, you just kind of go with it. What do you say? Yeah, that's me. I'm just surprised he has nothing else better to do on Sunday night. But no, like I said, I think people just need to stop getting their own way. I mean, if you like I said, you want to do a comic book doc, so you find a way to do a comic book. It's your idea. It's what you want to do. Maybe the way you told the story wasn't the way it needed to be told. But that's why you get people who can write and do that and take your vision and make it more professional. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, that's how you put out a product. I mean, for me, I need like my wife to go through and co-write it and make it readable. Totally readable. Yeah.
Really, he seems to think it's totally readable, but he's obviously not reading the same things I'm reading, because you've sent me a few of those that, yeah.
Well, I had to put down to the third grade level for you, Doc. I was worried about you.
Oh, so that was my special copy. Oh, I thank you very much.
I rewrote the whole thing just for you, Doc. And
oh.
And that's
Thank
another
you.
thing. Like, a lot of people get on these podcasts and all that, and they'll try to say everything perfect and all that. And at the end of the day, you just want to have fun with it. You want to enjoy yourself. And you want, like we're going, like, Doc, you and I go back a long ways, and we're gonna go back and forth and stuff. When Amy's sitting going, "Oh, they just said that. Oh my God," she's like, "Yay, it's me, hands up."
No, I'm enjoying. I'm absorbing. I'm listening. I'm learning. That's the beautiful thing about the show is I'm learning from everyone.
Mentoring and writing for somebody earlier. You're on my Facebook now. The email's open. If you ever have any questions, shoot me a message. I'm sure you got my number. You can get from Doc. Just text me, and if I can help, I'll be more than happy to help.
I would really appreciate that. I'm trying to find people to help mentor me in writing because I don't know. I come from the art world where you're constantly questioning yourself, like, "Oh, I suck. My shit is garbage." Right? That's like it's a tale as old as time amongst visual artists. And
some guy named Picasso said the same thing.
But then I move over into writing now. I'm meeting more writers, and they're like, "My shit's amazing," and I'm like, "Whoa, how do you know that? Like, how do you get there? There's so much to learn." So I'm trying to learn.
Okay, so the first thing you do is no matter what you write, you just go, "I'm fucking amazing."
There you go.
My joke. One of my writer friends are joking me. He goes, "You're Bob motherfucking Dixon." So
I like that.
My joke with my wife, as a special ed teacher, I'm one of the few guys in the building. I'm like, my wife's got to be having me. She gets to sleep with this. And thing is, I think once you get my age, you just kind of joke about stuff like, because you're like, I know I'm not gonna walk in a room and turn heads. I mean, geez, they might, if I fall down, they'd be like, "Are you okay? Do we need to call an ambulance?" They used to laugh at me. Now it's the medical.
Well, at least they're not asking if you broke a hip yet.
Oh shit.
They have.
You're not that old. You haven't made it to that point yet.
I'm 4 years away from full retirement. I'm kind of getting old. I'm a grandpa. I'm okay with that.
Word. Doc, what other questions do we have for Bob while we have him here? I can do a couple.
If you've got a few, you go ahead and shoot. Yeah, let me go ahead and ponder that.
What can you tell us or elucidate for us about your time in the comic world?
It was a great time. I hit the comic market in the early 90s. I caught on at the beginning of the bad girl craze when we released Assassinate. We had like 13,000 orders for issue 1. We would go into shows and just literally, we had fans. It was just a great thing. We had like people coming just to pick up the books, which was just a great thing. And it was a good time there. And I think it was a different time than it is now. I think at that time you had Capital and Diamond distributors who would distribute the books, and then Marvel bought out one, DC bought out the other. They wiped out a lot of the independent distribution. I got to be pretty good traveling buddies with Marty Nodell, who was the creator of the original Green Lantern.
Nice.
He was just the sweetest guy you ever want to meet. He would come in like he would roughhouse with us. We're like, Marty, you go break a hip, And, but no, he was like really good. One of the funny stories my wife tells about, we was doing a show in Tampa and she went off whatever, and then he came back and I'm sitting there talking to somebody at my table and she's like, "Is that Stan Lee?" I'm like, "Yeah." And so I gave him some comics today before he came over to thank me and talk to me a few minutes. So that was kind of a
oh wow! So you got to meet the Stan Lee.
Yeah, that was kind of fun. And
now Doc Blaylock has thrown up a couple of messages here real quick. If I can acknowledge that, he drew something for you. Do you?
Doc,
can you enlighten us on that a little bit?
Yeah. Well, at the time I had a whole stable of artists. Doc was a very good one. He has stuff that did not get published. And Doc Blaylock, I sent you an email which you have not responded to on Facebook. So when you get that, get back to me and talk. I got some artwork of his. I got to get back to him. It's packed up with everything else on. But at the time, it was a more innocent time. I think it was a funner time. I know when I do shows now, it's odd because I'll see somebody who's a good creator, and there'll be like 2 or 3 people in line to see them. And then I'll see somebody cosplaying a character they created, and I'll see 20 or 30 people in line to get a picture or autograph of the person cosplaying it. And
imitation is the best form of flattery, right?
Yeah, but you got the person who created it sitting right there,
right?
And you are totally ignoring them, and I don't understand that philosophy and that mentality,
right?
And like I said, Snafu's got me back into the comic book market a little bit because I do try to target that audience because that's who it's geared toward. So I'm doing Tampa Bay Comic-Con in July down here, and that's gonna be a 3-day show, and that's gonna be a lot of fun. I like to hit up a couple more comic events this year. I know Chattanooga.
Yeah, we were talking about possibly sharing a booth. I'm eyeballing a few of them up near me.
Yeah, I say, and so I definitely like that. I know, Amy, I saw your profile. Are you up in the Michigan area?
Yes, I'm south of Lansing.
Okay, I've done Detroit Con a couple of times.
Yeah, that's a good one, Motor City.
Yeah, we used to drive all night to get there, do 3-day show, and drive all night to get back.
Hell yeah!
That would be rough.
It was a weekend, but it was a fun time. Like I said, I think the market and the everything was a little bit more innocent back then. I think a lot of the Comic Cons are turning more into actor cons, where people are coming up to see the actors, and it's harder for the independents to make the sales because these guys are charging $40-$50 for an autograph, $60 or whatever for a picture or whatever, and that's just tough because people only have limited funds, and they put out $100 to get in the 3-day con or whatever it is, and then all of a sudden, these events that cost them, they want the picture with Chris Evans or whoever, and that costs them $80, and all of a sudden that's where they could buy 5 to 10 independent novels for that. They can't, because my books sell for $10 a piece, so I mean they could buy 8 books, but they don't have the money for both.
So it's kind of like a lot more soulless, maybe. I don't want to put words in your mouth, and a lot more commercialized now.
Yeah, I think it's very commercialized because, like I said, literally, and it's not everybody. Okay, it's not everybody because obviously I go to shows and I do fairly good at them. But and I know a lot of independent artists, whether writers or whatever, that do the same thing. They do fairly well at the shows, or we wouldn't do them. But I do think that there's a different kind of market that people are doing. I think it's just a different process.
Where do you see indie comics going from here?
Indie comics from here? I think indie comics will always be around in one shape or form because of the fact that people want something different than the mainstream. There's a glitch out there. I mean, think about this: Ninja Turtles was an indie comic.
Right.
It's probably the ultimate indie comic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cerebus was an indie comic that put out 300 issues. And as much as everybody hates, I mean, it's not this way now. Spawn was an indie comic.
Yeah, back in the day,
Back in the day. And that's the thing. I think, I really think that indie comics will always be there because there's always going to be creators who think outside the box that Marvel and DC and Dark Horse and them and Image now don't want.
Right.
There's always going to be somebody.
Yeah, I can. Now, have you heard of the Comicsgate movement that has been making through the creator and fan community? Are you aware of that?
No.
Okay, well, essentially, there's a movement that's been going. Correct me if I'm wrong, Amy. It's been a couple years now, and it's piggybacking off of the back of Gamersgate, which, of course, they're all just talking about a overinflation of the woke culture, I guess would be the best term of that, and the changing of the different genders and the pandering to specific types of audiences that are not necessarily their core fan base. And they've seen a drastic drop in physical book sales, both DC and Marvel, both going back now at least a couple of years. I want to say I read a statistic. I'm going to butcher it, but I'm going to try to spit it out there somewhere, that Marvel's, as of the last quarter of 2022, Marvel's physical book sales were down by 30%.
Well,
I think that's what I remember reading.
There's a lot of factors involved in that, though. One, people are still suffering from the pandemic, loss of jobs. People still recovering. I mean, prices on everything has gone through the roof. I mean,
True.
so
the general economy.
I mean, how much does the average comic book cost now?
Right.
At $5 between $3.50 to $7, depending on if it's a mainstream or indie and circulation.
When I was doing, all the books were $2.50, $3 price range.
Mm-hmm.
It's very rare to see that kind of a price range nowadays.
It's just the market.
It's very rare to print a comic for that nowadays.
Yes.
Those small comic book printers are looking at about $3 a book in order to print it, and that's our cost.
Yeah, we was looking at 30 cents. It's a lot better than the world, but it's also black and white. But the other thing is when you talk about costing that much to buy a comic book, especially with the movies and all going, people going to different forms of entertainment too. I mean, look at Netflix and Hulu and Prime and all that. There's a lot of comic book related material out there that have a visual audience, and people like that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Doc, that is.
Yes, Comicsgate is about. Go ahead,
Doc. You read, Doc.
Okay. Comicsgate is about telling good stories, telling them well, and not ramming their personal beliefs down the readers' throats. So yes, Doc Leyland's got a good point on that. That's a very good synopsis of the Comicsgate movement.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, like when we was talking about doing this interview, there's a few.
No.
What did he say?
And if they are, please shoot me a link of where you're getting them printed for that.
When we was talking about topics for the show tonight, there's a couple of third rail things I said I really don't want to get into. I don't really like getting into a lot too much on political stuff because I got fans on both sides of the aisle.
Well, absolutely understandable, but your snafu is skates that line that may be accepted into the Comicsgate very easily, which is why I brought that up. So no offense.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, well, it's snafu. If you get offended, you're just an idiot because I told you before you bought the book, you're going to get offended.
Essentially, yeah, it's intended to
don't pick it up. But here's the thing, and oddly enough, I've never had anybody come to me on Snafu and says it's offensive. And I had one guy who never read the book says it's because of the name.
But then that's just ignorance and not malice.
Yeah, and I take that for granted. So he goes, "Well, this is trash." I'm like, "Read it, then tell me it's trash." But don't tell me it's trash because you And
you looked at the cover and read the name, yeah.
Yeah, and thing is I seen this guy on a page, and he likes all this sexy with nipples showing and all that. So basically, the fact that I put Morning Wood on there, if there's a female character in the same pose and it's called Wet Wednesday, you would have had no fucking problem with it.
Yes, well, some people just have to find reasons to be offended, and those aren't our target market.
And my thing is, tell me you don't like offensive humor. Tell me it's not your thing. I have no issue with that. If you want to tell me it's a bad book, then you prove that to me.
Yeah. Now I might be taking an issue and explain why you feel it's a bad book. Is it the writing? Is it the style? Is it? Yeah. No. Give me a more intelligent argument than just I don't like it.
I have full confidence. I always said this about my writing. This is what we're talking about being arrogant as a writer. Okay.
Yes.
You have to have so if you're going to be an artist successful, and you have to have, I don't want to say arrogance, it's just like confidence, okay, in what you do. You have confidence in your craft, and there's nothing wrong with saying you're good at. I used to think anybody could do what I did. When I was doing comics, when I did novels, I used to think anybody could do what I did. But it's not that anybody can't write a book or write a novel. Not everybody can write one that other people want to read.
Yes.
And so the idea is, how do you write well enough that people, until an interesting enough story that people will be a part of it? And I'm confident if you took all the labels off, all the covers off, and all the names off, I'll go up against any best-selling author, and I bet you 50% of the people will like my book better.
Because it's entertaining, because of the writing style.
Just because I think I write a good book, and I write a good book, and we provide what we're saying we're going to provide. Now, is that to say that other writers aren't awesome writers? No, there's some very talented writers in the business. I mean, very talented, and there's some untalented ones that made a lot of money.
Hell yeah.
You know, I mean, my favorite one is 50 Shades of Grey. I've never met anybody who told me it was good writing.
I've never read it. Can't speak to it. Although I have listened to some dramatic readings of it, and those are pretty fucking funny.
Yeah, my thing is, but they found a market with the stay-at-home soccer mom, soft porn industry, who was wishing for better days, and they sold me. And you know what? Hats off to the person who wrote it. I have nothing but love for you, because you know what? You found a market for something that nobody else did.
Hey, right.
You were able to find a market, corner the market, and hit it with perfect timing. That's absolutely a success in my book.
You know, God bless you. I'm happy for you. But that goes back to, I mean, if Snafu all of a sudden became a best-selling book, you know, people go, oh, well, he just got the right thing at the right time. Yeah, but, you know, I mean, they'll say overnight sensation. Yeah, the fact it took me 30 years to get his is irrelevant.
Yeah, 30 years to get to this one night. But yeah, no, let's not pay no attention to that.
And that's why you don't listen to you're driving your GPS, because it'll go all over the place.
We have 5 minutes until we have to jump off, guys. Is there anything that we haven't touched on that you'd like to bring up?
Very loaded question with a lot of innuendos.
Well, in 5 minutes, Bob. We got 5 minutes now.
It only takes.
Is there anything else you want to address real quick?
Good.
Do you want to go ahead and share what your social media links are, so anybody watching it may be able to jump on and like you and follow you on social media?
Yeah, I'm on all the regular social medias: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, which I'm not really sure why, and Vero, which is actually ran by a buddy of mine, under author Bob Dixon. Feel free to send me a request on any of those. If you have questions on writing, message me. I'll get back to you, because I don't mind chatting with people about it. If I can help you out on your way on your journey, I'll be happy to do so. If you got a question about comics, I'll try to help. But like I said, I'm kind of out of touch with the modern day market there.
I also shared the image of your Facebook earlier in the stream. So if anybody wants to go see what profile picture, just rewind. It's probably about 10 minutes into the stream or something.
Now, Bob, have I shared? I'm sorry, what was that?
I say, just, if you want to hook up on, just follow me, just send me a Facebook request, and I'll add you to my friends, and you can see all the nonsense I post, because I post a lot of silly stuff.
Oh yeah, you've got some fun posts, and yeah, it's yep. If you don't mind, Bob, can we go ahead and have you seen our First World intro video, I guess we'll call it, a little 20-second snippet of what we put together to introduce First World? I've shared that with you, haven't I?
Yeah.
Okay, do you mind if we go ahead and share that with the viewers?
Oh, please, absolutely.
Where is it?
Amy, can you, Pops has got it. If you're still listening, Pops, you want to throw that up for us?
He said he loaded it up here. I don't.
Oh, gotcha.
First World, come in and take a seat. Pay us no attention, it's all conspiracy. We have satire and parody, some funny, some perverse. If none of it's offensive to you, you'd be the first.
And just as a little lead out on that is that's the IP that Amy and I have been working on, and that is called First World. It's a satirical parody about modern politics and social culture. You can find it on Indiegogo or at all of the general socials, First World Comics. With that as the lead out, we have just a couple of minutes to go ahead and throw on out here. So when is your book number 4 going to be available for Snafu? Have you have a release date for that yet?
I'm hoping in the spring. I know I will have it out by the Tampa Bay Comic-Con. That is the latest release.
So by July is your cutoff?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to have it out by May for Free Comic Book Day, but we'll just see how that plays out.
Okay. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Nope, I was just going to start wrapping up.
Go ahead. You can start wrapping up. I was doing the same thing.
Sorry. Well, thank you, Bob, for coming on. We will see everybody next week. I'll share your information on my socials. This is his Amazon account. I shared his Facebook earlier in the stream. I'd also like to tell people to go support Mike Baron versus the Scum of the Earth and his lawsuit against Kotaku. Or was it Kotaku or was it KO? I don't know. Somebody can correct me that knows more than I do. I'm stupid. I can't think right now. Okay, and then also check out firstworldcomic.com to support Doc and I and follow us on social media for other stuff that we do. And until
Thank
next
you,
time,
everyone.
yeah, until
We'll
next
see
time,
you all
everybody,
next week.
be good.